Welcome to the Keep It Tottenham podcast with me, the token bird, and...
And me.
Who are you?
I'm the other one. It's Harry Hotspur, Boy Hotspur, and the man with many names. Some of them not very
It
broadcastable.
would appear so. And you may hear in the background now and again the grumpy big rescue dog who's...
Is that my other name?
Yeah, pretty much right. We rescued you. And here's a bit of music we call the intro.
That was awfully good. Have you got any questions?
Were we meant to prepare and rehearse and stuff?
This is the rehearsal.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. This is the one take business.
I hear there's a bloke called Mourinho, and there's some Welsh fella called Gareth, not Gary.
Let me stop you there. I know what you're thinking. How is Mourinho going to deploy Bale?
Do you know what? You don't need me. You can ask your own questions.
Exactly.
Off you go.
Sparingly. And this leads me
Sparingly with the questions.
Yeah.
Sparingly with the use of Gareth, not Gary Bale.
Yeah, don't build your part. Right. This leads me on to...
Everybody knows I'm the best bit already.
This leads me on to a tedious story, which I shall try and cut down to at least an hour and a half, if possible. So anyway, the best bits of the blog are the bits beneath the line. So I do my shtick.
She said.
Yep, I do my bit, and then underneath there's hopefully where the magic happens. And so I got in, was talking about the way the games were going after the lockdown thing and the COVID and all that nonsense. And I made a point that nobody kind of bit on, because I think they thought I was either being just completely unreasonable as usual, or they just thought it was a joke, that I thought football was better without the fans.
Yay.
And that for a variety of reasons. Anyway, and then I got an email in from a reader, Mr. Frosties, which I
Good name.
believe is his birth on his birth certificate, and he made the point more acutely than I did, and in particular he was referencing our League Cup result against Chelsea, where it hadn't gone all our own way. And if for those of you with chronic alcoholism might not remember that we won that one on penalties eventually, and
Unheard of.
yeah, exactly. And it was an extraordinary game for Tottenham to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it went against an awful lot of how we used to lose.
Yeah, mindset.
Precisely. And he made the point in a really nice way that would Tottenham fans, the season ticket holders, because let's bear in mind, let's try not to vary too much, but just to give things to you in perspective, when the fans come back, and they will come back eventually, but I personally believe it's a long time we're going to be waiting, it ain't going to be your average fan. It's going to be your executive VIP season ticket holder corporates.
They will or they won't.
Those will be the first guys through the door.
Okay.
Because
the ones with money, deeper pockets.
The deeper pockets, and also they've paid up front, and they cannot afford to be fiddled around with. So the last thing, I mean, it could be the case. It could, I don't know, that the wide and the worthy on the finance side are actually more disinclined. That's a good double negative. But they're least interested in public transport or even getting in their chauffeur-driven car.
Can you socially distance in a VIP box?
You can socially distance in a what do you call it? What are those long cars?
Stadiers.
No, those long cars, the limos.
Limos.
But the point being is those guys might opt not to come out in big numbers, and at that point, tickets for the Great Unwashed will be available. But in the first instance, those people are gonna be there, and this guy was more a question of saying, look, if a Tottenham audience, be it comprised of whoever was there, would they have got the needle or would they have got behind the team? And he suspected they may have been, not that crazy. And that the effect of it being just Mourinho and just the coaching staff worked in the team's favour.
I agree. I think there are some teams where the fans will get behind and push them on when they've even been a bit crap. Oh, Spurs fans, though, we seem to be down on our team straight away, and we don't seem to work that hard to pick them up. And I just think they've done ever so well without the fans.
Well, the problem is, and I maintain this, that it's a very unpopular view. I know that because I see all over the internet, football's nothing without fans. It's all this sort of business. No, I don't know what to do with myself on a match day. But we live in a sick world where online, pompous idiots tell you to get behind the team and not in its way, which is surreal because if you do go to a game, it's largely full of people who, when they do get really emotional, they groan a bit. And yet your average season ticket holder, and I've been around for a long time, so it's not like I've met two once, and that's, my narrow worldview. But your average season ticket holder is the joke about how do you know when you've met a Yorkshireman? He's already told you.
Quite.
And normally, your average season ticket, I've been going to the lane since 1804 or whatever it is, and they don't actually have that much inspirational conversation or content within them about football. And the idea of packing a stadium full of those people, I just think the Chelsea game, it would be extremely arguable that we would have done anything inspirational with the team behind us, and I would posit the idea that in fact after 20 minutes when we were behind there would have been chants of boo, boo coming, even though he was set up in a corporate box somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're playing lots of teams now for the rest of the season. Got West Ham coming up, all that business. Are we, after 20 minutes, now Bale is fit to play, are we going to see Bale's name being called because we're losing after 20 minutes or half an hour? Because this isn't going to work with this manager, because this manager is all about the team and not about individuals.
Okay. So you're not the biggest fan of fans?
No, they're terrible people.
Go on, give us an example.
Well, it's all very well. I tell you what, I'll give you a good for example. Classic phrase of somebody who writes online. Oh, you're hiding behind your computer. Mm-hmm. Keyboard warrior, classic line. And this goes back to, I have to say, this goes back to the left who just, they want to deplatform you if you're saying something they don't agree with.
You're cancelled.
Yeah, they want to cancel you. So you're a keyboard warrior. And I remember going with an old mate of mine, Padmore, and we went from Colchester to White Hart Lane to watch Spurs. And I can't remember. I think we won 1-0 or 1-1. I can't remember. It was a dreadful game. It was
1-0.
It was against Fulham, and it was the only game you could get to by British Rail or whatever it's called on Boxing Day, because obviously everything was shut down. And of course, he got the tickets. We ended up in Paxton, which I had my doubts about, but anyway, it was nice. I hadn't seen him for a long time, so we said, "Yeah, we'll go and do it." Blah blah. Get there. There's a fella in front of us, and I'm not joking. He spent the entire game berating everybody. And it was, fuck, good, put your shoe into it, and everything. He wasn't happy. The colour of the grass wasn't good for him, just everything. And half time, he was with his mate who looked a little bit kind of like browbeaten, a sort of abused housewife. And I tapped the guy on the shoulder because he was slightly sort of stood started onto me. And I tapped him on the shoulder, very friendly. I said, "Are you in the right seats?" Mm-hmm. And he said, "Yeah, mate." Could not wait to pull out his season tickets and show them to me. He goes, "Yeah, there we go, 47A." I said, "No." I said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to sort of broach it with you. It's just that for the last 45 minutes, everything you've been saying, that lot over there have been saying more or less the same thing." And I pointed the away section. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me, and I sort of smirked at him. His mate started giggling, which kind of broke the ice, and I didn't get hospitalised. But the point being is that this just summed up the typical, why do you go there to have a mental breakdown? Personally, I'd go there and just go nuts for as long as you can keep it going, boom, boom. And that's the point of going.
So to say you're not a massive fan of the fans and our audience are all Tottenham fans, any further abuse you'd like to chuck their way?
Oh, I've had more Ratner's moments than anybody you could think of.
I'm sure you've got some more examples of how to pee off your audience.
It's just endless. I mean, Eric Dier is another one. This is a player that, and this is a curious one, and it gives us a real insight. When he joined Spurs, It was a long time ago now because everybody is with us forever because Levy doesn't like mixing the players up and us advancing in a genuine way. When he joined us, he scored 2 goals, I think, in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
From a defensive position on the map, where that's where his role was. He wasn't playing striker or anything weird. And the point being is that people were going bonkers. They couldn't believe that. Oh, Eric Dier, it's amazing. What a player. Proper, really up. And now, as his game has matured, admittedly, and the obligatory dig at Pochettino, who didn't manage him correctly. So it took Mourinho to come in, and after about 3 weeks, to decide that he was actually going to be a centre back, opposed to a jack of all trades, a master of none. So that's got fixed. But he's played for us and he's played for England, and when he's done something wrong, suddenly he's rubbish. And he's not rubbish. And if you look at his stats, he's not rubbish. And I don't mean that in the same way that one might say about like Harry Winks, because if you look at Harry Winks' stats, successful passing accuracy, 99% or something, it looks great on paper. He doesn't actually bloody achieve anything. Whereas Eric Dier, defensively, he's extremely good. And that's what he's paid to do. All right? But, so, this is the thing. Your average Tottenham fan, they'd see somebody like Dele Alli, who does naff all for 89 minutes. Right? Nothing. And then he pulls an amazing assist out of his bottom. So he's a hero. Cannot do anything wrong. Oh, lovely. And you've got Tottenham fans online demanding to know who thought that Dele Alli was finished. Who thought that he was rubbish? Well, I tell you who, mate. The rest of us that had just suffered the last 89 minutes of him tiptoeing about achieving nothing. But the absolute converse of this situation, where Eric Dier, for 89 minutes, is absolutely superb. Doesn't put a foot wrong. But curiously doesn't do anything exciting because he's not in an exciting position. It's all about not screwing up. He makes one blunder, and I don't mean something catastrophic which results in a penalty, but just makes one blunder. He's rubbish. Absolute donkey. And you get all these articles on these, and I have to say, substantially worse blogs than mine. And if mine's better than this, you're in trouble. These awful blogs where you go, these fans, and it's always the same thing, get him out of my club, I'll drive him there. These Twitter headlines, the cretins on Twitter telling us what they think, and it's just reactionary, and it's not fair.
Why the love for Ali and not for Eric then?
Because fans, and this is the thing that the little tide that supported the Pochettino, the ant on the leaf, nothing grand, but he thought he was the master of his own ship, was they were all too busy enjoying the bloody ride. Millennials. Now, that's my answer for a lot of things. I'm glad I'm not working for the NHS, because I'd probably say, I worked out what causes AIDS and heart attacks and blah, blah. It's millennials. I trace everything back to them because of the sheer bloody mindlessness of the whole thing. Well, it's harsh, but it's extremely well earned. And Dele Alli does flicks and tricks and all the rest of it. And so the crowd, they should be at the opera, because you go to the opera to be entertained. You don't go to the opera and say, I was unlucky not to hit that note in the second half. You go to the opera to hear everything played to absolute perfection by the best singers and tenors and drummers and gong bangers in the universe, and that's why you pay the big bucks to go to Covent Garden. When you go to the football, it's a slightly different gig. It's like going to a professional sports place. So it's like going to a race course. So you don't go to the races. I mean, all the people that come back from the races and they say, I had a wonderful day at Ascot, our horse won. Well, yeah, but there was a dozen other horses and they didn't win, mate. And it's next time round, this place is still packed because people understand the metric of professional sports. And this will be my last day, it'll be on my tombstone.
That can be right.
Winning is the metric. He snuffed it. But that's the deal. And fans, they're looking, I get they want to be entertained. We all want to be entertained. But digging a guy out who's done an otherwise really good job through fluffing a couple of bits up, and that leads us on to Aurea.
Oh, Serge.
Serge, the Wonder Horse, who, you know, had that glorious moment in the All or Nothing.
You had an Aurier shirt, didn't you?
I did have an orange. And until there was an instant with the maid, the Oreo shirt
The washer dryer.
Yeah, the Oreo was doing very well, but the deal with him was beautifully encapsulated, and so we didn't need any screamy tweets from people who couldn't believe. I couldn't believe he couldn't take a throw in. I couldn't believe that we bought a guy who was immensely gifted, bright as a button, fast, willing, keen, everything, you know, and could give us so much, yet was a walking red card. And of course, you know, but the way you address that is how Mourinho did it. And he says, he says to him in front of everybody, he says, I can't trust you not to fuck up.
Well, quite.
And that is how you deal with this thing. So Aurier stayed, and I think he'll provide some really exciting football. He scores the odd important goal, and he does a lot of hard work. He needs to cut down the screw-up ratio. But then, I'm just saying, just because it's not all about assists and goals, because if it was, nobody would watch football.
Pretty negative vibes so far. Should we
No,
switch it?
I'm authoritative. That's what you're having a problem dealing with. The problem you've got is the problem a lot of other people have got. Is that a lot of the stuff that comes out about Spurs and lots of clubs, it's puerile. I mean, like we were talking before. People say actually publishing blogs saying, "How do you think Jose's first 11 against West Ham will look like?" Well, he'll train them and then he'll pick the best 11.
You retweeted somebody who had a good guess earlier today. You hypocrite.
Yeah, but that's not content. That's just somebody talking. There's a big difference between that and publishing 500 words around something that isn't. It's worth half a tweet.
Maybe people just like talking about Tottenham.
Well, I wish them well. I just don't want to hear nonsense.
Oh well, you
Which is why I never listen to any of my own shows.
I was going to say trying to make a living out of football. Good job trying to avoid that.
You call this a living?
Well, yeah, true. You did have to sack the maid after all.
Yeah, she went.
So we've bought 7 players. That's pretty good.
You teed me up for an answer. Right, I haven't got a nice answer in my head.
Oh, here we go.
I've got more hate, more venom, more bile. No, we bought some amazing players, and when I say amazing, I don't mean what one might ordinarily refer to as box office signings, you know, and.
Is Bale not box office?
Bale is box office, but he's box office if you're a Real Madrid fan and you bought it from Tottenham.
Man bun box office.
Well, listen, I tell you what, I'm going to say this, and anybody who wants to...
You would swoon in his presence.
A little bit. A hint of a swoon.
You'd go all tongue-tied.
Yeah, that happened. I tell you what the deal is with Bale. For the first time in my life, and I mean this most sincerely, is I feel sorry for Daniel Levy.
Quite. Why?
No, really. I genuinely do. Because everything about this deal is amazing. It's the collision of forces in the universe that just would have been unsummonable. And it's just happened. It's just extraordinary. Right? It's this magical sort of phoenix return. And I mean, I don't know if you saw they did a little video clip of when Joe Rodon showed up at Hotspur.
I did. I watched it quite a few times.
Yeah, I can
thought
imagine.
it was really sweet.
But I thought it was hilarious. But you've got a
Did you? Because I'd have thought you'd think that's yet another one of these
No.
things.
Well, they've changed. I tell you what they did. They advertised. I saw it on LinkedIn a couple of months ago, and they ditched the millennial. I bet you it was a millennial. If I'm wrong, get in touch and show me your birth certificate, because I know who you are and what you're about. Yeah, you were born a fortnight ago and you've been binned, and whoever they've got in now is more proficient with media, can make things, animate things, and And we got the apology about being the Arsenal fan from Matt Doherty. I think it was one of the first ones where people went, "Ooh, admin. This is a bit fruity, bit blah, blah." And then we've got a new signing turning up, and got the product placement of the Volvo turning in very slowly.
Volvo.
Yeah, turning in. We're dropping off the new Scandi Noir signing and all this, and you've got these two Welsh monkeys on the desk playing with
Can't say that.
well, you not since
I'm
the
not
op,
the BBC.
not since the op, but playing with the phones, and he was what was Bale saying, Operation Lemon or something, and this is great. I mean, this is fantastic. But anyway, you're not doing your job, so I'll go back to the question: why do I feel sorry for Levy? Is that he's got this amazing thing with Bale, and he's not going to sell as many shirts. He's going to sell a lot of shirts.
Yeah.
But if you don't have 62,000 punters floating around the football stadium,
Well, yeah.
it's 3 million quid's worth of revenue every match. And I genuinely...
It's a lot of hot dogs.
It's a lot of hot dogs. I genuinely feel sorry for him because this is the commercial... whatever you want to call it, the Wunderbar moment, and he's not going to get it. People are sat there at home, but you can't go to the pub because it's sterile, but you don't go to the coffee shop, you can't go to this, that, and the other. So people are going to be sat watching illegal streams. Sorry, legal streams are also available. Going to be sat at home watching illegal streams, wearing their shirt, which is a little bit of a party pooper and might not encourage people to spend. But this could have been the maker, because I've heard all this waffle where they say they don't make any money out of shirts, and they make a ton of money out of shirts, and they just be banging these things out night and day.
To say though that I've banged on about not really missing the fans being in the stadium when I'm watching the telly, I think it's a real shame that Bale's back, and when he steps on that pitch, there's not going to be a single fan to cheer him on. That would have been lovely.
Well, I take a slightly different view. I take a view that what will be great is the fear, the sound of fear, because you can smell fear and you can sure as hell hear it, and the smell of fear from the opposition. That real focus the mind. They won't have to worry about their fans booing over the chants of boo, boo, all that. There'll just be this fucking hell as he comes out, because he's mustard. He's absolute mustard.
He certainly is.
And he's a great signing. And I think Jose will use him prodigiously. And he's very conscious. He's mentioned the injury track record and all the rest of it. But the rest of the lads that he's brought in are just monumentally, obviously, Jose Mourinho signings. And arguably, when Jose brings out a book, you're looking back on his time at Tottenham, or there's another video series or something, he may turn around, and I'm sure none of the players he bought would take it in a bad way at all. He may turn around and say, look, I had a situation, I needed to put a guy in the midfield who nobody was going to fuck with, a really strong guy. And I had two choices. And one of them only cost me 15 million. And that's why Pierre came from Southampton.
He's a
And if I'd have had normal circumstances.
So he's your top buy, is he?
I think he's sensational. And I think lots of people appreciate him. I think he was hugely appreciated. But I think, again, like when we had the problem with, and this is why I love Lo Celso as well, all these players that galvanise the team, that facilitate the transition from defence to attack, they're the most important players. And they're players that Tottenham historically have never replaced when they've sold them. So we had, I mean, I've said this forever, so another one for the back of the tombstone, as the front is going to be covered with other graffiti. Some fans still don't understand why... yeah, exactly. It'll have to be proofread. Some fans still don't understand how big a loss Carrick was. And when Modric went, they weren't as upset as they were when Bale went. And all of those players were ferociously important to the way the team worked. And it's like Moussa Dembele not being replaced and running himself into the ground. And bless them, some fans were saying on the blog and on social media, oh, we shouldn't have let him go. Well, we should have replaced him 3 seasons before that point. And if you don't replace these guys that make your team work, and this is the whole thing, like Toby Alderweireld, love him, absolutely love him.
Nice.
But the truth is, Vertonghen fell away, and Toby didn't, but Toby is going to fall away. This is as predictable as night and day and taxis. And what's Mourinho done? I need a centre-back. Because he looks at it and he goes, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
This guy's not going to be around forever. And I've got a lot of games. So I've got an ageing player and I'm going to ask him to play in a cup and in Europe and a domestic cup. Nah. So the just the common sense that oozes out of these acquisitions, I just think is phenomenal. Well overdue, and not spent loads of money. He's been really, really agile in the market in terms of loans and the way they've structured payment plans as well, because this has just been a very clever window.
Did we miss out on anyone?
Yeah, the guy whose name I can't pronounce, but I wouldn't worry about it, because if you can't pronounce their name...
Kim something, that one.
Oh, the Chinese guy. Yeah, I think the truth there is that everybody died of boredom. Excuse me, I could be wrong. I think the guy was good. I don't know how good he was, because the Chinese Super League is... It's like watching women's football. You can watch it objectively, but trying to equate what one would be like if they were playing in a proper league and all the rest of it, or conventional league, is virtually impossible. So maybe he'll come in the winter. Maybe the acquisition of Joe from Swansea has now prevented that. I'm not that concerned, because I remain, until proven otherwise, a massive Japhet Tanganga fan.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen much of him, but at the risk of joining the bandwagon of those fans that get excited by young men in tight shorts, that mob.
Yeah.
This guy, I think, has got a blistering potential. I just look at him and I just think, and I have to say, I am a sucker for being able to judge people at first sight. And I watched a video of him with his family, and just really decent people.
Yeah.
Decent people. And that tells me more than I needed to know about him. So I think he'll be a colossal success. So I hope he gets better soon.
The other night, you were chewing away on some melon seeds and waffling on about some power grab business.
Project Big Picture.
Yeah, I tuned out. Do you want to share it now whilst we're recording it, and then I can listen to it for posterity?
Yeah, this is tedious.
This is going really well, this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Super positive.
Yeah, it's great.
I hope you were having a good day until this point, everyone.
Maybe we could take some of the other really crappy podcasts that I hate and splice them into this. And that way we could dilute. We could you can't do that sort of thing anymore. You could dilute me and
yes, please.
That'd be good. Well, I'll tell you what it is. This Project Big Picture has got a terrible rap, in my opinion, and I'll tell you for why.
Do.
It's all about getting the wagons in a circle, pulling the ladder up and shouting, "I'm all right, Jack." There's 3 dodgy metaphors for you in one go.
Isn't there?
And it's all about the big clubs. They want to axe the size of the league, trim the size of the league. I think it axe at least 2 clubs, rejig the way the money's divided up, and send themselves Christmas cards with bigger amounts of cash in them before. It's all one way. And the first little crumb that's made its way into the public domain is this business of the pay-per-view games. The 5, which I just point out, as to my best of my knowledge, there's 5 games. But this is just to let you know which way the wind is blowing. And so, am I appalled because I'm a Marxist, or am I?
Don't think anybody's ever called you that.
Not twice. Or am I a realist? And so,
I'm not sure about that one either.
I like transparency. I'm a big fan of transparency. Clean windows.
Windows are good.
Clean windows you can see out of, right?
It depends if you want people to see in.
Life is easier that way. So when I see an advert on TV, and I won't mention anything because otherwise you get called all sorts of nasty names, asking you to donate money for whatever the cause might be, I have never in my life been inclined to give anybody a bean.
Oh, not even the animal rescue charities?
No comment. That's why I'm not making specifics, because otherwise the whole thing. So,
but the little puppers.
Yeah, and all that. But so most charities, and tell me where I've gone wrong here. Most charities.
I will.
Most charities, forget animals, right? But for most charities to do with people, the cause of the awfulness, and I'm not deriding it for a moment, but the awfulness, the despair, is other people's stupidity, and normally governments. So I'm not paying to subsidise other people's stupidity because A, I don't have much money, and B, I don't care. And I know I don't care because I don't feel that, quick, where is my card? I must give them some money. I don't get sucked in by that. So children in need, guide dogs for I can't even say some words, but guide dogs for different people, not interested. And I wish everybody well, but I just don't have it within me. Friends, families, neighbours even, and total strangers I will do acts of kindness for where I can, because I'm not a monster, but I just cannot get sucked into the stupidity of it all. And giving some CEO of a charity £250,000 a year.
Oh yeah, that was in the last.
Or funding the crack habit of some guy working for Oxfam whilst they're trying to charge people £5 for a paperback. You can get in a charity shop.
Give local, your community
Yeah,
charities.
yeah, community
charities.
stuff.
You need to see where the money goes.
Precisely. So as far as that goes, this business of football's so nasty and blah blah. Well, do you know what? Throw back the drapes and let's have it right. Let's show everybody. So even little Johnny, if this is what it takes, discovers that his hero, whose picture he has on his bedroom wall, is in actual fact a narcissistic psychopath. Yeah, let's just cut the pretense, because this business, I mean, it's just mind blowing. This I'll have to keep brief because I could do an entire show on it.
I bet.
But Haringey, one of the most distressed rotten boroughs.
Here it comes. I can hear the name coming down the way. It's Lammy.
David Lammy didn't even bother to go across the threshold of those nasty, vicious, multi-million... Oh no, they were just half a dozen Cypriots who'd been working hard for generations. The archway sheet metal, he didn't even go across the doorway to the threshold to try and help them, to try and sort something out.
Oh, that was particularly.
And this is the same. And this is I'll keep this brief. But this is the same clown who recently, and I'm paraphrasing him, so I look forward to the contact from his legal representatives.
Oh yeah.
But no, because you can't get done in court for telling the truth, how savoury it might be. But he tweeted something along the line that it's that Haringey was still a bit of a toilet, still a bit shabby. I mean, beyond him. The Labour Party have been there since 1986. And the regeneration thing make me laugh. So the sooner that football turns around and puts its hands up, and we had this business during the COVID thing and the players together hashtag, and that was all boxed off, money behind the door, and nobody knew how much would have got in. No, don't focus on the facts, folks. Look, here's a pile of pizzas that Danny Rose has brought round. Hey, big round of applause for Danny Rose. That nobody wanted to take a cut. It was all about chucking a bit of loose change so they could move on with their lives. So the sooner this big project football, or was it big picture, whatever they're going to call it, I think it's inevitable because money is the god in this business. And the sooner the jig is up and they can just turn around and say, yeah, we're really unpleasant people, the better. Because that's just being straight with people, and I prefer that.
What's the alternative? What would you prefer to see happen?
Unfortunately, the alternative is something that football makes them retch, makes them the thing rise up in their throat, and they start hacking, and they feel like they're going to projectile vomit. The truth is...
So if you're eating, folks.
Yeah, enjoy. Yeah, for those of you on a commute with a sandwich, I apologise for that. But the reality is that the only reason they talk about grassroots football or this, that, and the other is so they can get more sponsors in. It's just a conveyor belt. They're not interested in the kids. They're not interested in this. That. Haringey Football Club, one of the guys, Tapper on the blog, long-time reader, long-time resident of the area, he said something that, like, the guys in Haringey FC, or forgive me, whatever they're called, I don't know, £400 a week or £400 a month some of these players are getting. Are Tottenham helping them? No, because they don't care. So we get more of this staged nonsense, and the regeneration thing just is laughable, absolutely laughable. So the problem is there is lots of money swilling around in football, and they could do some wonderful things, really useful things that would help beyond the football projects, and they don't. And I've looked into the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation, and my findings were it was rubbish. So sorry, I know it's miserable.
It's thoroughly miserable.
But they could do.
I'm going to have to. I'm going to turn this round again for something bloody positive.
Why,
Mr. Hotspur?
But if we talk, why? Because if we're talking about the truth, and this is why anything to do with me is straightforward. Yeah, and it's not some.
Bloody miserable right now.
I'm looking forward to beating Liverpool 8-0 on Thursday, and all this nonsense. If you want that, there's loads of it out there. If you don't like this, switch it off.
Go on then. Whilst we're talking about negative stuff,
Yeah.
you were hinting as well about certain players being overrated.
Oh yeah. That was the novelty item for the end.
Is it? Oh, we near the end.
This, right? This is the funny bit. This is the man bites dog sketch.
This is the cute animal at the end of news round bit.
Yeah.
Crack on then.
You should have looked at it. You should have started at the end and worked your way forwards. I can't even. Should we even bother? It's going to be a bit. But it's just more of the same, isn't it? It's just hate.
Go on, we might as well. You might as well pile it on, mate. Just go for it.
Two overrated players. This is the comedy item. Stephen Carr.
Never heard of him.
No, well, you wouldn't. Stephen Carr, who earned the adulation of a generation by, listen to this, folks, waving.
Oh.
That was like people going, oh.
And you've just done a wave like the Queen.
Yeah, but that's what I was about to say. That's like people going, oh, isn't the Queen Mum beautiful? Isn't she lovely? But she waved. So that's what went on there.
What about, go on.
And the other one, which I used to make when I was in Ireland, used to make lots of Irish people laugh just before they tried to put a glass into my face, which is a local custom in some parts.
When they meet you.
Yeah, well they've had 15 minutes of me. Robbie Keane, under-hit 99% of every goal he ever scored, and then as soon as Liverpool wolf whistled, he was up there like a scalded cat.
Yeah, but he had to. Wasn't he trying to play for every team possible within the greatest number of years possible before?
Yeah, you had me at trying. the typhoon from Tala, yeah. Anyway,
we've got West Ham to play.
Yeah, they're going to get beat
by
more than one goal.
Pleased to hear it. I hope your day improves after listening to this podcast.
And if it doesn't, the number for your local Samaritans is 0345
on the internet.
On the internet.
We'll bring you some more of this absolute utter.
And no cheating.
Cheer.
No cheating. This cheer will be delivered to you on a regular basis. So none of this writing in and phoning and saying, please can we have some more in between. You will have to wait.
On that note,
keep it on them.